Good morning and happy May Day. When I was a child growing up in a small town in Maine, we made little baskets out of milk cartons and delivered candy and flowers to the doorsteps of our classmates. Unfortunately, it seems many people didn't have this happy experience, but in Maine, this always felt like it was the beginning of spring, and hopefully, May Day this year will be the beginning of a new era and will be a tribute to the dignity of labor and physical production, which we must increase planet-wide. Now, first of all, late yesterday, Ukraine finally agreed to sign a deal with the United States over rare earth minerals exploitation. I understand it's 50-50. Probably more will be coming out on this later in the day. I don't know how that will impact the negotiations going on between the United States and Russia to get an end to this proxy war, but it is an interesting development. Otherwise, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the BRICS conference in Brazil said that tangible results of the US-Russia dialogue will be seen in the near term. He said there is hope that the promising trajectory of Russia-US dialogue will become reality. I anticipate a solid confirmation of the reciprocal interest between Moscow and Washington in the near term. So I think that that is very promising. Also, along these lines, it should be understood that the dynamic in the world has very much changed because of the power of the BRICS plus nations, now adding up to 20 nations, many of them large nations, many like Russia, China, India, with very advanced scientific capabilities for space exploration, nuclear power, etc., that the world has changed. And one thing that has not been played up much in the Western press was the announcement from President Putin praising the role of the North Korean soldiers in Kursk. They were there as part of a special forces unit. He said explicitly, "You have fought for Russia as if you were fighting for your own motherland." And he promised reciprocity. That is, if North Korea were to be attacked, Russia would be there as well. That certainly is a change in the global dynamic. I am sure that this is part of what is being discussed in the lengthy meetings between Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Putin and Lavrov. It is not merely about ending the proxy Ukraine war, but also perhaps bringing an end at long last to the Korean War, which Trump had wanted to do in his first administration, but was prevented from doing so, particularly by neocon rat John Bolton. This also, I think, has implications for Iran and the role that Russia can play in helping the United States to achieve a diplomatic agreement with Iran, thus averting the war that Bibi Netanyahu so desperately wants. Unfortunately, I cannot report any good news from Gaza. The Israelis are continuing their atrocious bombing campaign and starvation and blockade. However, there have been thousands of people in Israel demonstrating against this, and for the first time that I'm aware of, last Sunday or Monday, there were 10,000 people in the streets in Israel with pictures of the dead Palestinian children acknowledging the genocide. So hopefully this horrific slaughter can soon be brought to an end. The only way really to solve this at this point is a two-state solution and Lyndon LaRouche's Oasis plan to green the deserts. And that, again, would require the United States, Russia, and China to be on the same page. Now, another situation which has not been covered much in the press is in the nation of Haiti, where the drug gangs have just been allowed free reign. Probably they're still bailing out the New York stock market. And apparently the Dominican Republic, which is on, of course, the same island, has been doing sweeps through the public hospital to find pregnant Haitian women and deport them, whether they've given birth or not. They have forced hundreds, maybe thousands of women back across the border holding infants that are only weeks old. Some women have been separated from their children, and this is a situation where Haiti, a nation of about 12 million, just under 12 million people, but 5.7 million people are experiencing acute food insecurity. Haiti is a brother of the United States, and we really should act that way and stop this carnage and allow that nation to have the economic development that it so richly deserves. Now, another very, very dangerous point, which I discussed yesterday in the interview with Helga Zepp-LaRouche, is India-Pakistan, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a rather alarming speech saying that he has given the armed forces full operational freedom, that's a quote, to retaliate against the terrorists. And there's not even been an investigation yet. Who are these terrorists? Is this really from the Pakistani government? They deny it. Is this the British hand trying to blow up the region? I would say very likely. The Pakistani defense minister pointed in that direction. The Pakistani information minister has warned that he expects that there may be military strikes very soon. Now, given that both India and Pakistan have nuclear weapons, this is extremely dangerous. It's also very, very disruptive to the BRICS process, and it really smells of a British neocon operation. So we'll be getting more on that soon. Otherwise, we have coming up the conference of the International Schiller Institute. There are two conferences. One will be in Europe, probably in June sometime, and the one in the United States over Memorial Day weekend. And I want to really stress what Helga Zepp-LaRouche said to her American associates on Monday, and actually our international association, which is that we are at a turning point. There are two directions for mankind. There is the entropic direction of the decaying, bankrupt British liberal imperialist system, which had virtually captured the United States until the election of Donald Trump, who at least may end some of the wars, but who is still not terribly clear on economic policy. And then the new dynamic, which frankly is much more like the American Revolution than what the Trump administration is calling American system economics, what China has done to build 40,000 kilometers of modern high-speed rail, the dynamic of cooperation among nations in the BRICS, where they do not barge in and tell people to change their government, their language, their religion, or anything, but look for areas of mutual benefit and cooperation in transport, economic exchange, etc. And that dynamic is growing by the day. So the question is, can we in the United States, we patriots in the United States, get our nation to return to the principles of George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, John Quincy Adams, that our nation would be a bulwark against the colonial looting system? And the purpose of the Memorial Day conference is that I would encourage all of you who can attend in person to join us there. Visit schillerinstitute.com for information and to register for the conference, and we will see you very soon.